Good evening and praise God. Hope your week have been so good. And remember, we were psyched to live a life worth of being a youth after God's own heart, as we were looking at it with Reverend Musamadi last Friday. Have you had faith, courage? Have you been humble enough, repentant? Are you a worshiper? Have you had the diligence even for you to acquire the characteristics of a youth after God's own heart? Welcome, it's Youth Let's Talk Show, and tonight we are blessed. God has blessed us with one of his own servants, and I just want to welcome him so that he can introduce himself. Then I will come back, introduce the topic of the day, and we will get the ball rolling. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here this particular evening, or is it tonight? So my name is Eugene Okelo. I'm a clinician here at Webuye County Hospital, and I'm privileged to be here this particular time.
Oh.
Thank you.
Welcome, Eugene.
Yes, thank you.
Balozi is privileged to have you in the studio this night.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that.
Tonight we want to look at mental health. We realize that we interact with the people, and the responses that we get, people are like, it is even impossible to stay healthy mentally in this kind of generation. And therefore tonight I know, with the help of God through our clinician in the studio, we are going to be helped, and I know we are going to go places. As usual, we make this show as interactive as possible. Our SMS line is 0718 442578. Keep your questions coming in case you have been a victim of mental illness or unhealthy mentally, and you are now well. You can still just share your experience so that we can read it out and someone else can receive an encouragement that they can still make it. Eugene?
Yes.
Now we are here, and we have a situation whereby even we have a group of, when we talk about mental health, they're like, what kind of a monster is that? And we have them who are like, in the current generation, you can never be healthy mentally. Now, let us just begin by, what is mental health?
Okay, in a nutshell, we could say that mental health is that state of psychological well-being, to be able to cope with the stresses of life. You're able to even learn new things and be able to give out solutions to things that are happening in your life, and you're able to interact well with other people in that particular matter. So mental health is an aspect of health in general, which particularly means that it doesn't mean that when you're healthy, it doesn't mean that you must not be having a disease or an infirmity. It involves a lot of things, that is the physical, the psychosocial, and so forth. So mental health is a part of the general term of the term health. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, with the kind of definition that you have given unto us, mm-hmm. being having a state, a psycho state, mm-hmm. of you coping up with the stresses, mm-hmm. and you realize that in the current generation, you can realize that stresses are all over. And we see people yielding, we see others withstanding, and the big question remains, with this, all these challenges, is it possible for a youth to still remain healthy mentally in this generation?
Yeah, honestly speaking, it is a tough time for people that are living in this particular era. This generation of youths, many things are happening, and you may think that it is impossible to cope with everything that is happening. But in the long run, it is possible. We know that there is nothing impossible, so it is possible. So I think maybe for you to know how to maybe go about it, you have to know where this all is coming from, because everything always has a root cause. When you identify with the root cause, it is easier for you to get a solution. Many people respond differently to the stressors of life. Maybe this will work for me, this will work for you, and maybe it won't work for me, and it will work for you. So it is up to an individual, because we have some factors that are from within the particular person. You get that maybe we have different levels of emotional skills. Maybe you get that some people get angry easily. Some people can easily tame their anger. Some people cannot easily tame their anger. And maybe also when we go deeply, we have also some other factors that we may call biological, maybe the genetics. You find that maybe people, maybe in certain family, that are unable to cope with stress effectively. So that goes down that particular family. And so we have things we can control, and we have things that we can't control. So, I mean, the basic thing is to know where that particular stress is coming from, and then we can deal with it from there. So it is possible to live a mentally stable life as a youth in this particular generation.
So it is possible.
Yes.
We just need to identify the root cause. What are, apart from like being biological, what are these other causes of mental illness or unhealthiness?
I think now maybe I can maybe split that into maybe two. We may have some intrinsic factors and extrinsic factors.
Now you simplify for us.
So whereby this,
when you tell us intrinsic and extrinsic, I have got a youth out there who is not well versed with such heavy terms.
Yeah, so for intrinsic, I would mean that those are the factors that are coming from within a particular person. Like maybe let's say this particular person, maybe when they were young, they went through certain traumas that really changed their perspective about life. Maybe they went through, maybe let's say child abuse, and maybe we have, I have had friends maybe who have gotten through abuse, especially the sexual abuse from their parents. And so when they grow up, they tend to be afraid of people of that particular opposite sex, that maybe they think if I get too close or if I get too comfortable, whatever happened to me while I was young will happen. Will recur. So they live with that particular fear because of the past experience that they had. And also some other things, maybe if I go to the extrinsic, where I mean that these are not from the external forces. Maybe you are living, maybe you can use the example of right now, maybe we are living in tough economic times, so you find people are here and there, up and down, thinking, what will I do? How will I handle this? And you find that that is something that is coming from outside. That is something that is coming from outside. And it is now affecting how you are thinking, how you are acting, and how you are doing your things.
So these causes can come from inside me, and they can still come from outside me. Now, out of curiosity,
yes,
I have this, I'm affected intrinsically. How do I go about such a thing? Like a cause that just came from inside me. How can I be helped?
So I think for that, if for you to easily know how to handle that, you have to first understand that maybe you have a problem, because it is hard for you to even get help if you've not understood or if you've not known that you're having a certain problem. So in this case, if that problem is coming from inside you and you are finding it hard to cope with this life the way we have said, from something that is coming inside you, maybe let's say you had the way I've said that you had a past life experience or life trauma, and you are living with that particular fear. So currently we have places that people can go to, and we have people we call psychiatrists who are specialized in identifying those particular problems and talking to you, and you are able to identify that this is causing a problem in my life, and you get self-driven steps that are able to help you to overcome that particular problem. So I think the first step is for you to know that or identify that you are having a mental problem, and maybe your friends or people around you might let you know, may tell you, and after that, if you are understanding that you have a problem, it is now an initiative, maybe from your end, to now seek help, because it is hard for you to be helped if you are not ready to
To
seek.
be helped.
Yeah, if you are not ready to seek that particular help. So we have people around that can really help us to overcome all that. So it doesn't matter if it is coming from inside you. If you are willing to be helped, you'll definitely get that particular help.
And now you talk of a psychiatric. And in our societies, we have grown knowing that when you are told you are a psych case, you are like beyond repair. So at what stage can I seek maybe a solution or assistance from a psych?
I think maybe people think that when you are seeking a psychiatrist, that is extreme. Maybe before even we get there, we can try to sort things out from where we are. We have maybe friends, we have families, we have maybe religious leaders in our churches whom we can talk to and get the particular guidance that we need. But now in this case, now these people I'm calling psychological counselors or psychiatrists can help us to deal with that effectively, because now they understand this better. And I think it is in our it is for our own good that we at least try to drive out this stigma that when somebody is seeking help from a psychiatrist or from a psychological counselor, it means that they're doomed or it is the end for them. We should try to at least motivate them to seek this help, because the moment we try to push them away, things get out of hand, and they may get to a point that they may get worse, they may not get better. So it is now for us in the community to ensure that we are helping these people out, because as a community, when we do this together, we are able to help people. And we realize that for these people, most of them who are suffering these issues, maybe what will cause them to get well or not get well, it is the people around them. So if the people around you are not helping you, you feel like it is the end for you. So I think it is a multi-sectoral thing that we as people who are living together should help one another to ensure that this problem is sorted out.
Remember, it's Youth's Let's Talk show. We are talking about mental health. How healthy are you mentally as a youth outside there? In case you have any question or any concern, send us an SMS on our SMS line, which is 0718442578. And we have our brother Eugene, the clinician, in the studio, and he will help us sail through it. Now, we are in a society, yes, and you realize that, okay, sometimes it is not just boom and you realize this person is unhealthy mentally. Do you have any signs we can look at and we realize, this person, it's like needs some help?
Yeah, definitely our bodies are built in a way that when there is something wrong, they'll show us that there is something wrong. And as I had said initially, your mental well-being will influence the way you think, the way you act, and even the way you relate with other people. So definitely the signs will be evidenced by all those through that, the way you are thinking, the way you are talking, the way you are relating with other people. So you'll find somebody maybe is eating too much, is eating less. Somebody is not able to take care of themselves, maybe for the personal hygiene. Maybe this person used to be very clean, but now they're very disorganized. They're not being able to take care of themselves as they used to do before. You'll find these people that they're distancing themselves from others. They want to be alone. You'll find that these people are, maybe they used to do some things. Maybe they had hobbies or things like that. They used to love doing some things, and now they're losing interest in those things they used to do. Maybe somebody liked to play football, liked to hang out with friends, liked to do this and this, but now they're distancing away from doing those things. And another thing, you'll find that they are maybe becoming easily, maybe initially they couldn't get angry easily, but now they're easily angered. They're easily on the edge. You find it hard to relate with them. And also other things they have said, the appetite changes, so they'll either eat too much or eat too less. And another thing is that they may be thinking of causing harm to themselves, and even in those case scenarios you find these people committing suicide. Yeah, they become suicidal. So those are some of the things that you'll be able to see in a person, and you'll realize that this particular person is not okay. And even others, they'll present with, like, they have pains all over their bodies, and you might think they're sick, but the problem is mentally and not physical. So the mental problem is not manifesting physically. So they have pains all over, body aches and all that.
And you realize that we have people who generally just overreact, and then you will hear people around them like, that is how they are. Do we specifically have people who can just be like they were wired to overreact, even something petty, they just make a big mountain out of that petty anthill? Or it is a sign that these people are having some mental issues?
Okay, so they have just said our behaviors are always a call for help. So I can't really say that somebody was wired to always be overreacting. But what I can say is that if you really look deeply into this particular person, you'll find out that in their past, or something happened in their life, maybe when they were growing up or just somewhere along their life, and it changed how they were, and it made them grow into that particular aspect, that they will overreact, they'll overthink, and they'll even do things you don't expect them to do in such a small matter. It is because that is how life has forced them to be, or that is how they've been shaped by the circumstances and by the occurrences that have been occurring in their lives. So it is not that is how they were wired. It means that there is a problem somewhere, and something happened, and that is how they got to be, because of whatever it is happened, or through the experience that they went through. So it could still be a sign that something went wrong somewhere. That's why they are the way they are. Because ideally, we as humans, when we are created by God, we are created to be social beings, to be beings who love one another, who interact with one another in the right way. And when something goes wrong in that particular matter, it means we have a problem somewhere.
And can you yourself, as an individual, identify that I am having issues with my mental health, or it has to come from like someone is observing it, like, hey, nowadays Eugene is changed? Can you yourself identify that there's a problem?
Well, you can, but sometimes it is hard. It requires an external observer to know inyewe there is something wrong with you. Sometimes you might think that you are okay, and in the long run you find out that you are not okay. You might even come and be told, so and so you are not okay, but you're saying, no, me, I'm okay. But for them that are out there can see and notice some changes and say that you are not okay. And also sometimes if you are keen with yourself, you can realize that enyewe you are not okay. If you are that particular person who takes time to sit down and introspect and think about how your life is and observe yourself, like just being self-aware of who you are, will enable you to know that there is something wrong when there is something wrong. But if you're not that keen of yourself, if you don't keep track of how your life is going and how you think and how you do things, there is a problem, and it will need an external particular observer to say, there is a problem here. So I think the challenge there will be for you to accept. So if you're not ready to accept that there is a problem, then that even becomes more hectic to be helped. To be helped and to be dealt with.
Wow. Yeah. I believe you are learning so much. Have you noted any behavioral change, even amongst your friends, in your family members, and you are like, this person never used to be this way? Tonight we are being reminded that it shows there is something wrong. And remember, I've been told as human beings, God created us to be social beings. So stop saying that this person is just that way. There must be something behind, and we must be there to help. Eugene.
Yes.
Now, sometimes people will be like, do we have a specific age that someone is affected mentally, or someone's mental health is affected, or it can affect, some people think that maybe it's only the youths, or maybe the teenagers, or maybe the old people who can be affected. Is this an illness that affects any age, or it has got a specific age?
Mental health is something that is very open, and it can affect anyone. Nobody is immune. It can affect me, it can affect you. It doesn't matter your age. I meet old people who are disturbed mentally. I meet young people who are disturbed mentally. So it doesn't have an age bracket where I'll say that this particular age group is the one that will be affected. But of course, when you look at the statistics, we have maybe for the youth, we find that maybe for them it is very clear that they're being affected by the mental health issues. But it doesn't mean that it is limited to the youth. It can affect any age. But in this case, mostly we observe and say that the youths, it is the youth that are doing drugs, it is the youth that are committing suicide. Well, you find old people doing so, but it is not as hyped as it is by the youth. So to answer that question, it can affect any age. Anybody is susceptible to being getting these mental health issues.
It's quite a challenge to me and you if you thought that maybe it's just a specific age that you reach or you get to before you can get affected. It is Youth Let's Talk Show, and remember, we are talking about mental health. Our SMS line is 0718-442578. In case you have got any question, we are here for you. Our clinician is here for you, and he will dig in it and help you out. Now, we have looked at even the science and the causes of this mental health issue. Now, as youths, what is our role? For example, in the society, we realize that actually the bulk of them affected are our fellow youths. Maybe I'm not affected, or maybe I'm affected. What is my role, especially when I'm not affected, towards this person who is affected? So
we live in a world where that you can't survive alone. We need one another. And as youth, if we understand that the future, or rather the generation of tomorrow, depends on what we do now and how we handle our situations right now, it will be easier to be vigilant about these issues. Because for the many cases we've had, we realize that it is our fellow youths that are causing the other youths to maybe go to the extreme of choices when they are mentally disturbed. You find somebody is mentally disturbed, and instead of maybe helping them, we find that we are the ones that are pushing them to the wall, to even make them do the things that we don't expect them to be doing. And examples, we've had a lot of examples of youths committing suicide, and you wonder, as in, how do they get there? It is possible to get there, but now it is also even possible to not get there, depending on how you are handled and how people around you help you. So if you don't get the right social support or a support system around you, it will be hard for you to cope. Because, well, the most common things that are causing youth to be mentally unstable, we know, of course, things to do with relationships, things to do maybe with study, money, and all that. But if you understand that life is not all about that, life is about knowing what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be helping out people around you, it is easier to move on. So I guess for the people who are around you and you are suffering mentally, they should be able to support you to understand that you have a problem, and your problem needs to be handled with a lot of care, that in that particular moment you are so delicate and you can do anything. Actually, somebody who is mentally disturbed, they're hanging on a thin thread. They can either go to the positive side or to the negative side. So it has to have people that are supporting him, helping him to go through that particular phase in the way that is required. Maybe some of the things that they could do, that's the normal things. You need to talk to this particular person. You need to be there for them. You need to ensure that they understand that somebody cares about them, because when you realize that somebody cares about who you are and what you are and what you do, it is easier for you to cope with this. But once you realize that, oh, people don't care, people don't mind what I am or what I'm doing, it is even hard for you. So showing them that love, being there for them, helping them go through that particular phase, because it might be me today, tomorrow it might be you, because you say that nobody is immune to this. I might be going through this today and it might be you tomorrow. So help me today and I'll be in a position to help you tomorrow. So
wow. What a challenge even unto us who provide the environment for them who are unstable mentally. We are taking a short break. We will be right back with more. Keep on sending your questions, and our SMS line still remains 0718442578. We will be right back shortly.
The very first encounter that I want to draw your attention to is in verse 21. Mark chapter 1, verse 21. It says that he and the disciples, they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and began to teach. Listen to that again. They entered into Capernaum, and immediately, somebody say immediately. On the Sabbath, he walks into the synagogue, and on the spot, without time to prepare, he starts teaching. Now, I want you to get the picture here. The synagogue is filled not only with people that have come out of religious duty to hear and to receive, it is also filled with learned men, scholars of the law, people that have studied this for a living, scribes and Pharisees and scholars. He was put on the spot in the midst of people that, humanly speaking, would have been above him, more well-versed than him, more well-studied than him. This newcomer comes out of nowhere and he begins to teach the people who are gathered. He didn't have time to prepare. He didn't have time to study. He didn't have time to get a seminary degree. He just showed up and filled the need at hand. Jesus demonstrates to us that in order for us to be able to point a sign clearly to people, what we need is the exact same thing that Jesus had on this occasion. We need supernatural ability to be married to our natural ability. We can't just come in our own skill and in our own power and think that we can fill the needs that are presented to us. We, like Jesus, when we're in a position where we're in over our heads, where we are very clearly outmatched, where there are people that are around us that are more skilled and are more talented, we need what Jesus had. We need to be able to walk into that scenario in full confidence that if my God has sent me, he will also equip me for the task at hand. Jesus is put on the spot. Immediately, he rises up to the occasion. I want to tell somebody today who is in over your head. You're on your job, you've just been promoted. You know that they know that you know you are not skilled enough for that promotion that you just got. You feel like a duck out of water. You feel like a deer caught in headlights. You have no idea how you're going to meander your way through this thing. You're just faking it till you make it. I've got good news for you. What the Holy Spirit does for you is the exact same thing that God's Spirit did for Jesus Christ on this occasion. He gives us competence, ability that comes supernaturally from the Father so that we can handle the tasks that are at hand. I want to tell you that when Jesus found himself in this scenario where he was sort of in over his head, humanly speaking, what we do not see him doing is shirking back in fear and insecurity, hoping that somebody else will fill the need at hand because he does not feel incapable. And if there's one way that the enemy seeks to take advantage of his daughters, it is to cause you to think that you are not enough, that you are not capable enough, that need that you see that needs to be filled, it better be filled by somebody else because you're not talented enough. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough patience. You don't have enough energy. But the example of Jesus shows us that the glory of God is best seen through our lives, y'all, when we step confidently into scenarios where we know up